Hey everybody, welcome back to the Empty Nest Teacher channel. If you are new, welcome. For those of you who have seen a video or two before, thank you so much for coming back. We don't take any of you for granted. Today, we have a discussion for the Empty Nest Teacher Chronicles. So, I am in Illinois currently. You can probably tell because it's like hotel stuff behind me. And I'm in the room because I just got finished doing my teacher boot camp sessions online while I'm here. But we got into Illinois yesterday to move my daughter into her apartment at her new school that she is transferring to here in Illinois. And we got to the apartment. And, you know, I've sent her in basically because the other two young ladies who were her roommates they're from Illinois, so they were able to get here a little bit earlier. We're coming from Maryland to Illinois, so it took us 12 to 13 hours with all the stops included to get gas and grab some snacks. So I sent my daughter in to get her keys and kind of, take her first look at her apartment and everything. And I could kind of tell that, I might not have been, I probably would not be as happy as what I would have liked to be. So anyway, I finally got a chance to go in and look, and one of her roommate's parents were there as well. And none of us were really happy with the state of the apartment. So this is where this discussion comes in. Now, as an empty nester, my daughter is 20. Your child or children, when they graduate, are somewhere between 17, 18, going into college as a freshman, and then, of course, older than that when they're sophomores, juniors, and seniors. But you all tell me in the comments when you're taking your child to school, and some of us, that's part of the conversation. Some of us take our children to college. Some of us, might be too busy or can't, get off of work, and at a certain age allow them to go to college on their own. But dorm living is one thing. For the most part, I think there is a certain level of responsibility from the school to make sure that the dorms are, basically clean. And of course, as parents, especially probably most of us moms out there, we come ready with our sanitizing wipes and, our spray and our sponges and our gloves and all of that to clean on top of the cleaning that the school has done, or the apartment complex, the rental, the owner of the property has done. So at what point as a parent do you allow your child, your college age child, to handle things on their own? And at what point do you say, okay, I'm still a parent and I see things aren't going the way they should go, so let me step in? So that's the conversation that we're going to have today. And so back to our experience. So like I said, when I went in and I met the other set of parents and, began to have a conversation with them and realizing that none of us as adults were happy. Not happy at all. So this is what the state of the apartment was. It is an older apartment building, so of course you don't expect it to be, like a brand new development. They did not advertise that it had been reconstructed or renovated or anything like that, so we weren't expecting that. But as we're going up the steps, you could see that it was, it had not been cleaned. Cobwebs, just leaves stuck in cobwebs, trash here and there in the stairwell. You can tell that it basically had not been maintained the way that it should be. And of course, There are probably state rules and county rules and all of that, for the cleanliness of a property. But I also realize that that might not be maintained all the time, or maybe there are not those type of cleanliness rules and regulations that the owners have to abide by. But anyway, so I wasn't happy walking up the stairs to see that. So then when we stepped into the apartment, we could tell that the carpet was very, 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 very old, possibly the original carpet. We could see that there were stains in various places in the carpet. We went into the first room where Malia had started placing her things, and there was a long stain. You could tell the bed probably that the previous tenant had was probably in one area, and then you could see the stain where they probably did, most of their walking in the room or what have you. You could tell that the place had not even been vacuumed. So not only had the carpets not been shampooed, but you could tell that the room, the whole entire apartment had not been vacuumed. So, of course, over the course of time, when someone is living there, there are little things that fall on the ground, especially around the baseboards or whatever, that had not even been cleaned. So, not a general vacuum, definitely not the shampooing of the carpets. In the kitchen, the floors were a little sticky. The oven had not been cleaned. You could definitely tell the oven had not been cleaned. There were like pieces of foil from someone, using foil in the oven that were at the bottom. There was some type of dried food on the oven door when you open it in the glass part. So, that didn't give me any confidence that anything else in the kitchen had been cleaned. It was not, filthy looking, but if you didn't clean certain things, then I know you probably didn't clean anything. There was some garbage, some trash, little pieces of things that came from the kitchen that had fallen in between the refrigerator and the counter area. So again, and that was the kitchen. So in Malia's room, there were stains on the carpet here and there. The door handles on the rooms cannot lock. So I was completely confused as to how you rent an apartment to college students, and the doors cannot even lock. Now I have the mindset that my daughter, any of my children, when they go into their rooms, whether it's a dorm or an apartment, they should be able to lock their door, especially when they leave. They should be able to lock their door. Now, you have your roommates. That's wonderful. And to be honest, of course, as a parent and the students themselves, you would love for them to have a wonderful relationship with their roommates. When that happens, awesome. Like, thank God. But that doesn't always happen. And not that everybody has to be a thief and a robber and all of that type of stuff. But when you go into a situation where you don't really know the other people, and the other roommates can feel the same way about my daughter because they don't know her, you want to make sure that you can secure your items. Now, what I also said is, okay, she has two roommates. They're wonderful girls, from me meeting one of the families. We were able to exchange phone numbers and awesome, conversation with them. Lovely people. But I also know that roommates can have friends come over, just like my daughter could have friends come over. And, as a roommate, you don't necessarily know the people that may come in and out of your apartment if they're, they have a relationship or some type of friendship or whatever with the other roommates. So saying all that to say, you might not know everybody that comes to your apartment. So you want to make sure that you secure your items. That's the bottom line. And they should be able to do that. So when I looked at her door and I realized, okay, there's no lock on it at all. What is this? Okay. So that was a problem. So I knew, being a single mom, I will go to YouTube. We would do what we have to do. Okay, we would do what we have to do. So I automatically thought, we're gonna go to Lowe's. I seen a Lowe's somewhere around here. We're gonna go to Lowe's. We're gonna get you another door lock. If I have to install it myself, I will do that. And we'll do what we have to do. So that was that. The bathroom. So if the kitchen was not clean and the floors were not even vacuumed and clean, the bathrooms. Like, I don't trust that, you did anything with the bathrooms. So I was able, it's 2 bedrooms, 2 bath unit. I was able to look at both bathrooms. And although, again, it wasn't like filth, it's still, the bathroom, come on, it has to be clean. So if you didn't clean anything else, you probably did not do that. And so with COVID going on, there are 2, levels to this. Number 1, just cleanliness, period. In terms of being an owner of a rental property and preparing the unit, from, the prior tenants, and then knowing that you have new tenants coming in, you do a deep cleaning, you do a thorough cleaning before the new tenants come in. So that's level number 1. Then level number 2 is COVID is out here. COVID, guys, like, we don't know who those people were. We don't care who those people were that lived in the unit. The fact is that it's COVID. It's COVID out. So the cleanliness train needs to be running, and it's not running through this apartment complex. And so anyway, in the cabinets in the bathroom, there was just like little stuff. You can tell that was kind of just left over from the previous tenants. Not so much trash, but you can tell that it wasn't, swept out or cleaned out, wiped out, anything. Then you have the open living room area, because in this particular apartment complex, it's not furnished. So the apartment she had last year was furnished. This year is not furnished. So, there's nothing in the living room, nothing in the dining room or anything like that. So when you're standing in the living room area, you can look outside. They have a little balcony, and the air conditioning unit is out there on the balcony, which looks horrendous, but it works. It works. The air is working, so, okay. And then they have like a table, a high table with the high chairs that go with it. And the balcony, the base of it, where the railing is made out of wood. And so that is like severely chipped away. There was some, I don't know if it was like a mop handle or some metal bar, I don't know what it was that was laying out there. So again, something left from the previous tenants that, was just left there and it wasn't clean. So anyway, my thing was, we went ahead and we brought my daughter's things in and we set them in the middle of the floor, because again, I'm the type of person, we're going to take video, we're going to take pictures, prior to setting your stuff up, because once you set your stuff up, you hide things, and when I say you hide things, I mean, if your bed is set up and you start putting things around the room, you can't see certain portions of the room, and if there is anything wrong, you can't see it anymore. So I like to get all that footage, all the pictures and everything like that as evidence that this was the state of the room when they moved in. And so when they move out, we have proof that the damage that may have already been there was not, it was not done by my child. So we did have that footage. And like I said, we kind of just put everything in the middle of the floor. So prior to even coming, I felt kind of uneasy because of the lack of communication from the owners or the property managers. There were different questions in terms of, things we should have known prior to coming, things that should have been ironed out. There was a transition in the software that they use or the app that they use to make payments, which is fine. But because of the transition there in the new software, when you log in, there was no evidence of the payments that they had already made, because that was in the old system. That had not been updated, so it looked like they owed almost $2,000 in rent. And so I emailed, my daughter texted, that the girls had a group chat with the property managers, and I would ask my daughter to send me the screenshots so I would be made aware of what's going on. And although one of the property managers would respond sometime, not 100% of the time, but although she would respond sometime, a lot of her responses were basically that she did not know. She had to go ask the owner. She had to go ask someone else. So that got pretty frustrating for me because coming from Maryland to Illinois, like I said, it's 12 hours. 12 hours. Add another hour on, for getting gas and everything. So if we're driving 12 to 13 hours here, those general, things should be in place already. So anyway, myself and the parents of the other young lady, so my daughter has two roommates, but one set of parents was there. So we all kind of collaborated. We, got together and said, okay, this is what we need to do to let the owners and the property managers know that we're serious about this unit. So the dad got on the phone, finally got the property manager on the phone, had a long conversation while we were all there. We spent more time kind of just going around and taking an even closer look at, different things in the apartment. The other young lady that was there by herself, she started to make a list, itemized list of the things that needed to be addressed for this apartment unit. And she ended up texting it to the dad. And, he communicated those things to the property manager while she was on the phone. That might have been maybe a 20-minute conversation, maybe a little bit longer than that. And so the consensus was at the end of that conversation that they would have someone to come in. So this is yesterday. They would have someone to come in 8 o'clock this morning to come in and address these issues. She said that someone did come in and clean the carpet. Someone did come in and, clean the unit. She said they started to clean the unit. What does that mean? What does that mean? Okay, where did they start? And, where did they end? It doesn't look like they did anything. At the washer and dryer unit, there's like a little closet and there's a washer and dryer. The dryer's at top, the washer is at the bottom. And if you look on the sides, all right, between the washer and the wall, you saw, old lint, an old Downy box, the Downy Sheets box, wrappers from something, silver wrappers, trash, So again, these are things, the unit was not clean. So, today they came in at 8 o'clock. And so I went and met them because we wanted them to know that this is a unified front. There, are multiple families that are not happy. So the dad had to go to work this morning. So he and I spoke yesterday in preparation for me being there this morning. He sent me the list that had been compiled. He refreshed my memory in terms of the conversation that was had with the property manager yesterday. And what I needed to know for this morning. So 8 o'clock this morning, I met them over there, and the gentleman acknowledged the whole list. Yes, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. We don't know why they did whatever. And explain that the owner had a cleaning company that came in, but the cleaning company didn't do a good job. They didn't know what they were doing. Now, that's obvious. And so he had a, crew coming in, and I saw all their supplies and everything like that. And, so none of the girls put their rooms together. So basically what happened was I had my daughter yesterday to put all her stuff in the closet, just put everything, pack it in the closet and get it out of the way. So as they clean the carpets, they could just clean your whole floor. So the other young ladies did the same thing. There's an extra room in the apartment because there's only 3 of them and not 4. So the other 2 young ladies put all their items in the 4th empty bedroom so that they can have, full run of the carpet in their rooms. So the gentleman came out very nice, acknowledged that everything on the list, was correct and should be taken care of, should be addressed. And basically said that his team would come in, and handle everything. So there became two pieces of the list. We kind of broke the list up into two things. So there are some things that can be addressed now, and then there are some more long-term issues that will be addressed within the coming weeks, like the next month. And then there might even be a third piece of the list that will be addressed past the month. But we wanted to put everything, out on the carpet. These are the things that we need addressed. And, I told the gentleman, he was very respectful, very wonderful. He was an older gentleman. So I told him, I understand. He was referring to the different units that, he had to address, how he lived in this community. He gave me his phone number. He gave me his unit number, and if the girls needed anything, if anybody would bother the girls, he would, help them, that he would be a resource for them if needed. So, okay, that's nice. But I let him know, I understand, you have a lot on your plate. This is not your fault because you are not the owner. But at the same time, we want to address this unit. So the parents that have been reaching out, want to address this unit. And not to be mean, but he did make a comment that, some people had moved in to these units and not all of them had been cleaned because of the, the lack of diligence with the other cleaning company that had been hired. But a lot of tenants had come in and didn't even say anything. And he knew that those units had not been addressed the way they should. So now all these units are on his plate. And so I asked him, did they fire the cleaning company, the prior cleaning company? He said yes. So now all of these units are on his plate. So I understand that. You have a lot on your plate. You have a lot to do, a lot, different things that need to be addressed. But we're concerned about this unit. And before I leave Illinois, this week, I need to see progress in this unit. So like I said, there are different levels or different sections of things, categories. So the immediate needs were a thorough cleaning, a deep cleaning of this unit. So what they did do yesterday was they came sometime yesterday evening and they shampooed the carpets. So they did do that. You can see, a difference in the carpets. But as I was speaking to the dad, I believe that's probably the original carpets due to the wear and tear that you see. And some of the stains that are in the carpet may not have come from last year's tenants. That probably was there for some time. And, there are probably tenants, as the gentleman from maintenance said, that, they didn't come in, they didn't report anything, they just moved in and, whatever. But not in this unit. So they did shampoo the carpets, like I said yesterday. They said they were going to do a thorough cleaning, a deep cleaning of the entire apartment, and I had to make sure that I specified every area, on the list that was sent to them. And I gave specific examples to him because I know we had spoken to a property manager. I know the dad had spoken to the owner at some point. I had spoken to another property manager, but I wanted him to know, since he was bringing the crew in, this is what needs to be cleaned. In addition, the closet where the water heater was, it looked like on the floor of that closet that it didn't necessarily look like mold. I know mold is black, but mold, there could be mold that's not black. I'm not sure. But on the floor of it, you can tell that it had not been cleaned. There was a clear plastic, a rectangular bowl that, normally would have the top to it for food storage. It was sitting under the water heater with some water in it. So it looked like the water heater had been leaking, all that. So you're allowing these new tenants to come in with these issues that exist. So they cleaned that yesterday. And so when I saw how clean it was, you could see the white floor, after they had cleaned it. Why didn't you just do that in the first place? I could tell it hadn't been cleaned for years. Why didn't you just clean it in the first place? So I saw that the plastic bowl was still there, but there was no water in there. So we'll see over the course of the next few days if that is still leaking, if water is still in there. But so some of the things are being addressed today. He was there for about 4 hours today, he and his crew. And so I still have to go over there to, put my eyes on it. I had my new teacher boot camp classes today that I just got finished with. So probably after I finish this video, I'll go over to the apartment. And the hotel that I'm staying in just so happens to be right across the street from my daughter's apartment. So I can go over there within the next 2 minutes and check everything out. So those are the items that can be done today. The deep cleaning, they shampooed the carpets. They called it re-clean the carpets. And they cleaned out the area where the water heater was. So I did get a text from my daughter's roommate, who did come back as the cleaners were leaving, and she said she was satisfied. It did smell like, they had been cleaning, and that's one of the things that, I noted to the other parents that were there. They didn't even try to fake it. They said they cleaned it, but they didn't even try to fake it and like spray some Pine Sol or, whatever, around, or some Lysol or whatever to make it smell fresh and clean. They didn't even do that. So, when you clean, it has a, whether it's bleach or, Lysol or, Clorox or whatever, it has a smell, a clean smell to it. That, was not the case. So my daughter's roommate said that she went around and looked, it did smell clean. She can tell that they cleaned certain areas. I asked about, the area in between the refrigerator and the counter, the area between where there was trash, the washer and the wall in the laundry closet. So those areas have been cleaned and all of that. So, I think that, we're on to a good start. So those are the immediate needs. Things that could be done within the next month are cleaning the air conditioning unit that's outside. They also cleaned inside the unit today. They cleaned the air filters. That was another thing that was on the list. It was, a little, I wouldn't say a hefty list, but, it was a number of items on the list. So the air conditioning unit that's on the balcony should be, kind of cleaned. And then the wood base of the balcony bars and all of that will be fixed. But, you have to have a carpenter come in and all of that. So the gentleman that's over the maintenance department was saying that, please give him some time. These things were all, just put into his lap to handle everything for all of the units in this apartment complex. And so that he would, in good faith have, the list of short-term items done today that he could address today. And then, like I said, the wood and the air conditioning unit and all that within the next few weeks. And then the painting of the unit, it really does need to be repainted sometime in the fall, so over the next few months. So he has to, ration those things out, because our unit is not the only unit, or my daughter's unit is not the only unit that needs to be addressed. So with all that being said, like I asked before, at what point do you just allow your college age student, you just let go and say, you handle everything? Or do you do what I did? I could not leave here, drive 12 to 13 hours home knowing that these things were not addressed. But I know that's me. I like to be here. I feel like I have to be there when my kids move in, when they're doing certain things like this, so I can take the adult look, at the status of things. My daughter, she knew that there were things that were, not in place, things that had not been done. She wasn't satisfied with the level of communication, that was taking place prior to us even coming here. But, her thing was, let me just make the best of it. I'll go in and I'll clean and I'll do. But my thing was, you shouldn't have to clean the old tenant's dirt, the old tenant's mess. We come in and we clean what they already cleaned just for our, to feel good, that, okay, it's clean the way we, want it clean. But it's not your responsibility to come in and clean up what should have already, been addressed. So, tell me in the comments, do you have a situation where you were in my shoes, or, there were another, other issues that you had to deal with, or maybe that your child had to deal with because you weren't able to go? Or like I said, do you just allow, your children to go ahead and be a responsible adult, go ahead and address those things on their own so they can learn, how to do things as an adult? I think that there's, a fine line between, for me, again, this is just my opinion, there's a fine line between allowing them to just go ahead and address their own things, and then me kind of stepping in. I think since my daughter has gone to college, she has definitely done very well in terms of taking care and handling her business. There are times where she may call me and ask, well, what do you think I should do, or how should I address this? And, then she handles it. I don't have to worry about it. But then on the flip side of things, I think that in situations like this, where you have property owners, who are renting out, and, that you're renting to college students, I think sometimes they don't care. And because you're renting to kids, they're not going to care. And like the maintenance, the gentleman from maintenance said, a lot of people have moved in and never said anything. So, there has not been, I guess, many complaints the way we complain. And we were very respectful the whole time. Every complaint has been respectful because we're trying to give them a chance to address them and handle things the right way. So, nothing has had to get out of order or anything like that. But, on the other side of that line is where I feel like I need to step in, because they need to know that these students have adult parents who mean business. They have adult parents who realize and know and want you to acknowledge that this is not right. So I think that's where that line is. Yes, we let our students, we let our children, become adults and learn how to take responsibility and address the things that they need to address. But on the other side, if you can be there, I'll say if I can be there, which I try to, be there for things like this in order to address things like this. I just don't, there's no way that I could not be there within my own power to make sure that these type of things are taken care of. So although my daughter definitely would have gone in and done the cleaning and this and that, she should not have had to do that, and neither should her roommates. The other thing that was not originally on the list, but I mentioned it earlier in this conversation, is the doorknob. So when the gentleman from maintenance met me this morning, I asked him about that because that was not on the list. And so long story short, I told him, he showed me how to lock it from the inside. So there's no key lock or anything like that. It's just like a regular doorknob on knobs on both sides. But from the inside, so she goes into her room, she can push it. He was saying that it's like some type of doorknob system, but she can push it and it'll lock from the inside. But it doesn't lock if she were to leave her room. So that kind of defeats the purpose, half of the purpose. Of course, you want to lock your door if you're on the inside, because it's your room. But then you want to also lock your door when you're leaving your apartment, because your things are in your room. So what happened with that is I inquired about going to buy, going to Lowe's or whatever to buy a new door lock. And so he basically said, if you guys want to go buy the door locks, that, I will install them. So that, we're going to go today to Lowe's and buy a new door lock. And so he said, just make sure that we keep the old doorknobs because when the students leave, then they will reinstall the current door locks, back on there, because that's, what the community is using. So it's things like that where I know my daughter would not have thought to let me go buy a door lock or, whatever. And I had already kind of, determined in my mind, if I have to do it, I will go to YouTube and find out how to, talk to the guys at Lowe's, probably take a picture of the doorknob or the door, to see if the guys at Lowe's, you know, can tell me what doorknob is best or whatever, and figure out how to install it myself. That's the point that I was at. But thank God, you know, he was nice enough to say, if you guys get it, you know, we will install it. And he actually called me today after they finished cleaning, and, you know, told me that if I wanted to go get the doorknob today, between a certain time this afternoon, he would make sure that it was installed today. So we're going to go do that. So I'm going to end this video here, but I did, you know, this is kind of like a real-time situation, guys. You know, this was not a planned video, but I felt like this was a good conversation to have for the Empty Nest Chronicles, in terms of that balance between, like I said before, allowing our children, once they're college age, to deal with certain things on their own, and then when we feel like we need to step on in and help address some things. And so again, please tell me, you know, what do you guys think? What is your opinion? Again, if you've had stories, your own story where, you know, you've had to address something, or you chose not to address something, you chose to allow them to handle it on their own, please, you know, share with me. You know, I want to see how many parents are like me, or how many parents, you know, aren't like me, and let their children go ahead and address these things. I don't want to say alone as if, you know, you're abandoning your kids, because I don't feel that way, but, you know, alone in terms of allowing them to experience adult things and handle adult things. So again, I will say, you know, my daughter, you know, has done an amazing job handling different things on her own, but because I was here, because we're dealing with an owner of a property, and we're just getting in, you know, just trying to move her in, you know, I wanted to go ahead and make sure, and then, like I said, with the other parents also had issues, and so we kind of formed a united front. So I actually have to call him back, and give him the update in terms of what has been done today. And he has pledged that, because his family does live here in Illinois, they live about a half an hour away, I think he said, that those longer term issues, you know, he will make sure that he comes at certain points. And, you know, we will both keep them, you know, let them know that we still need to be on your mind. These longer term issues still need to be addressed, but he can physically come and show his face, you know, at different times. So that makes me feel good. And, you know, I told him I appreciated him for that, because, of course, because I can't be here. I can't drive 12 hours, you know, to make sure that the wood on the balcony, the base to the balcony, the bars on the balcony is handled. I can't be here to make sure that they do paint the rooms or whatever. So that's the end of this conversation, guys. I hope I wasn't rambling too much, but like I said, this is like fresh. I have to get ready to go over to her apartment now to see the final you know, state of the apartment in terms of the cleaning that they have done today, the items that they did take care and address today. And so what is on our list of things to do prior to closing out this video is, although they did clean the carpets, I'm going to go get her the floor rug, so that way if she wants to walk on the floor without her slides or, you know, whatever, bare feet, she can do that in her room. You know, you wake up out of bed and you might not be thinking, let me put my feet in my slides or in my slippers or whatever shoes I'm wearing immediately when you wake up. So I want her to be comfortable and okay with doing that. So we're going to go and get rugs for the room. We have to go to Lowe's and get the door lock, so we're going to do that. And then there are a few other things that she needs to get. And I did order some other, like her furniture. So because this is a unit where you have to furnish it yourself, I had ordered her 2 dresser pieces. I had ordered her a desk with a desk chair. And so because the unit is a little bit smaller than what she had previously at her old school, she may not even need all those things. So as those are arriving, one dresser came earlier today. We're looking to get the other dresser piece at some point today. It should be delivered. The desk she probably won't use. That means the chair that's coming she probably won't use because it's not enough space to put all that in there. So once we put up her bed, We have to go get her a mattress. So that's on the list of things to do. So once we put up her bed, then we'll kind of build her room from there. Thank you so much for coming to this channel. Everybody here, myself, my daughter, we appreciate you listening to our issue of the week. But it is being resolved, and so hopefully by the time I leave at the end of the week, you know, everything that can be resolved will be. So thank you for joining me here at the Empty Nest Teacher channel. Again, in the comments, let me know if how you feel about this. You know, it's an empty nester issue for parents. You know, how far do we go to help our children, or do we just let them go ahead and deal with things on their own? So I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much again, and I hope you guys have an awesome day. Bye-bye.